Happy Comic Book Day observed, and welcome back all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic, book, and Ghostbuster connected. We are Jon and Charlie Rivera, co-founders of US Comics. Charlie, happy Comic Book Day observed.
Happy Comic Book Day observed to you and to everyone listening and watching today. As always, no matter the day, no matter the hour, we are brought to you by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please hit that button like Emperor Shaddam just chose violence. And now you have to fight a bald albino Elvis. That's the old one. Clearly didn't copy over. But I am literally Ron Burgundy.
Fix that.
Oh, yeah, no,
post.
it's coming up.
Charlie will read anything if it's on the teleprompter.
That's true. But for
anything.
But for posterity, if you haven't done so already, please hit that comment section like the proton fields are down and you've been itching to haunt some shit like your name was Casper.
Finally. So if you didn't get too confused, Christian joining us from the special agents affiliated with the Stash.
It's true.
Just a dynamite podcast from Kevin Smith's altar in Red Bank, New Jersey. The Secret Stash, they do a dynamite podcast. Make sure that you live from the Secret Stash. Check it out. Literally any place where you can watch. Well, actually, let me watch it on.
I think it's
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
It's on
Facebook.
It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook.
It's on YouTube too. It's the brand new shit.
Hey, all right. Hit that pause button. That was dynamite. Watch it. Listen to it. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Jon.
But, nope. What?
Before you dive into it, I have something special for you.
It's about
for
time.
This episode. I know you've had a rough week, so I want to do a service for you.
It's about time.
And for the people listening and watching both live right now on this beautiful Friday, but also those that'll listen to the podcast version, which is available every single Wednesday.
Why am I Showtime, Jon, and you're Charlie?
Because I feel like you deserve
a
full time. That's been like 4 weeks. I was waiting for you to notice. Jon, well, check this out.
What?
I have joined a prestigious club. I have joined the Regal Movie Club, as we discussed last week. And on Mondays, periodically, they do a mystery movie. So, Jon, a complete surprise to you, a brand new 40-second segment. I know you love short segments.
Just love a surprise, too.
Let's take it.
I'm a sucker for a surprise.
Loves a surprise. Let's take it away, me from the past.
We all know anything can happen out there. Sometimes we feel lost. We push and we suffer. We keep going. That makes all the difference. Hey, what happened to you, boy? You don't look so good. Meatball? Look, somebody likes my meatballs. Hey, Paw Patrol, we got a race to win.
It stinks.
A surprise to no one. Don't see a Marky Mark movie. Arthur the King stinks on ice. Don't see it. To you, Jon.
Solid, like a Channel News-esque fucking drop. So, apropos to nothing, so I mean, we have to talk about it now, so clearly you don't want to see that. You don't want anyone else to suffer through
I suffered through it.
movie. What kind of a heartless, frosty monster do you have to be to put a thumbs down to a movie that's starring a mostly living dog?
Yeah, boo that dog. Boo that dog.
That was an actual dog that lived, that did things in life.
The best actor in that film, other than Shang-Chi. It goes Shang-Chi, the dog, everyone including extras, the meatballs, Marky Mark.
We don't know what you're talking about. So the Shang-Chi actor was in the flick?
Yeah, he's in that little clip I just played.
Oh, okay.
I expected less vitriol, more like
no vitriol. It's just all breaks, just like all breaks, no gas. In any case, while Charlie was running off to watch apparently terrible movies, Also, as well as we had the opportunity, which frankly I did not think we would have, to see the world premiere. At first, I thought it was just the New York City premiere. No, in fact, it was the world premiere of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the sequel to the much, much awaited, highly loved, very lucrative project Ghostbusters Afterlife, which operated more closely to a Ghostbusters 3
Yeah.
than anything else. So Charlie and I did have the opportunity. We were able to see the red carpet,
Rub
all
elbows.
the stars, the literally all of the gets that you could possibly get. Though Charlie was able to restrain himself. My first world premiere. What about you?
So the closest thing was we saw Black Panther 2 in very in advance. Certainly not a world premiere.
It was in advance, not even close to a world premiere.
This was the closest to a world premiere because there was a New York premiere party above us when we saw Black Panther 2. So we were in proximity to area premiere. That's the closest
we
I've
were
ever been.
premiere. No, not even, because it still premiered out west.
That's true.
Like the traditional Hollywood. I don't know if it was Man's Chinese Theater or anything like that, but no, this was like the premiere, which we really didn't figure out till we got there. Luckily, we got there ridiculously early.
Once we had to wait like an hour for the movie, we were like, something must be going on.
Charlie was like insisting. He's like, so do we camp out? Do we get a hotel room? And I'm like, my man, if you've got other plans in the city,
I was ready to go out the night before.
Let me know so we could put a sock on the doorknob. Yeah, man, my man was ready to camp out like it was a midnight video game release.
Now, to full credit and full disclosure, didn't need to say any of that because you know my neurotic ass. You're like, I guess we'll leave early.
I mean, again, leaving early and getting there like
The day before.
in an AM situation when the movie was in a PM situation. And we mentioned Kevin Smith. We're going to mention him again. Much like a Kevin Smith talk back, we didn't start anywhere near where the printed materials indicated that we would start. I think I sat through a single shot, like a wallpaper-esque image.
It's a beautiful wallpaper,
of the full cast. It was beautiful. It was lovely. The seats at AMC cinemas, theaters. I got in trouble for my boy Casey for saying it wrong once already. I don't need to do it again. The seats are very squishy.
They were basically sponges.
They leaned back also like you were at the dentist office. Charlie had his head in two luscious Latin ladies' laps.
It's true.
I'm like, is this gonna be okay? If he gets scared, you can tug on his little hairs. He doesn't care.
And they did.
And they did. So we're gonna be, again, we made it a point. We promise, as two huge, some huger than others, Ghostbuster fans, maniacs. Charlie is an official card-carrying Ghostbuster. Yeah, he's a maniac, but he's an official Ghostbusters. I'm just like, I'm like a volunteer version.
You would be
I'm like a volunteer
auxiliary.
Firefighters on Long Island, whereas Charlie is a pure Tacoma FD full time. So yeah, man, I'm gonna hand it off to you. Was this just purely? Open up that comment section because I'm sure there's people want to talk. But was this purely Christmas morning for you?
Yeah, it was. It was so. In hindsight, a wild situation because we waited so long.
We waited
for Ghostbusters 3.
Oh, you mean
specifically, not the day in
life.
1989 was Ghostbusters 2.
It was.
I did not get live action Ghostbusters again until 2 years ago. Ghostbusters Afterlife it's a post-pandemic movie.
There was another live
I
action.
don't think that's true. I don't
Actually,
think that's true.
One of us was at that premiere also.
No, I was in like the weird.
Oh boy, this.
I don't like
let
this.
Me cast my mind
I don't like
back.
how this goes.
It was give or take a little rough on dates, but it was just about 2016.
I'm sorry.
I would say
this. I don't feel like
there
it's real.
was another premiere that Charlie was at.
Not.
Let me ask you real quick. Just a short micro conversation. Considering that we've had a few already.
Yeah.
At what point in that 2016 debacle,
Yeah.
did you say, "Hey, Charlie, we done messed up"?
So let me. I do think
we done messed up, Jim.
I do think it's relevant from my point of view. I do not think
do it.
people have to have the opinion I did. 2016, I see the trailer for the Ghostbusters reboot.
People don't have to have your opinion.
No, not in this
That's
context.
new.
Well,
We got a new development.
it's also not true. That's in case
we have another new segment.
that's in case if any of our Friday watchers aren't our regular watchers. My regular watchers must agree with me. So 2016, I see the trailer. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't seem like a thing that I'll like. So I kind of put it off to the side as like a thing I'll eventually watch.
and for fear of appearing misogynistic.
No, I love all those
small-minded,
actors.
But what was it? Again, to avoid the
Sure,
negative views,
yeah.
What was it that didn't resonate for you? Like, what was that first nugget? And in your case, now I'm shocked that because you famously avoid trailers.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked that you you gave yourself that cheat
The
ability.
first trailer I always watch. Just watch the Crow trailer. Always watch the first thing. I need to know something about what's going to go on.
Okay.
The 2016 first trailer, the first joke I remember seeing is the ghost spits slime on her, and she's like, "It's all over me. It's in every crevice."
Okay.
And that joke fell
It's a
so...
skeet joke.
It just fell incredibly short. She was dressed funny. The jokes from the trailer...
Now, if Dave Chappelle had made that joke, would it have landed?
Is he doing a Dave Chappelle voice? Is he like doing one of his character voices?
When is he not?
Then yeah, probably it may have landed.
Gotcha.
It wasn't clicking for me. Visually, the equipment, the ghost design, it very much looked like it was in Chicago and they were saying it was New York. And I'm like, clearly that's not New York.
Okay.
And I distinctly remember like the icing on the cake for me
Yeah, that's fair.
was they were like thoroughly enjoying Papa John's. And I'm like, you're in New York City rocking Papa John's, ladies.
To me, I would have said, "Oh, well, this is a movie about monsters."
This is about
because
evil
only
people.
monsters eat Papa John's pizza
So
and
that
allegedly live in New
So
York
that
City.
first trailer, I distinctly remember nothing worked for me. Even the logo on the car, they cut in half. They have like a metal stripe running through it on the car. Yeah. And I'm like, that's fucked up. Like, that's a whole extra line. It ruins the symmetry. Nothing about that first trailer, minus the cast, worked for me. And then, Hemsworth being like a very, very dumb receptionist, I felt was just, I don't mind himbos, but like that, I like funny himbos. So then I say, okay, I'm not going to watch it.
He is a himbo.
And one of my groups at the time got invited to the Madame Tussauds.
Now clarify for the folks that may have stumbled upon us, by your groups.
Yes, I work with a Ghostbuster charity group. Have since 2015.
You got to get those funds to
So
these
I was-
homeless ghosts out there.
Exactly.
Because you don't want them in your house. You've made that abundantly clear.
Yeah, complainers. So we get invited to Madame Tussauds, and who am I to say no? And the Madame Tussauds, they were going to let us have like full access of this like VR game that you have the vest and the thing. And at the end of it, you get to see the movie early, probably a week early. Certainly not a premiere. That premiered also in California. I think there was a New York City premiere as well. But this wasn't that. This was like exclusively
I don't think that there was.
for the groups at Madame Tussauds. I wind up going through this experience. This Wax Museum experience was tremendous. They rebuilt parts of the sewer. They had like a Slimer interacting in
Madame
mist.
Tussauds does a nice job.
Madame Tussauds hit it out of the park.
If you're in New York City, if you're in Manhattan proper, and you want to do some actual fun, legitimately good touristy type stuff, Madame Tussauds is right up there.
And
even though there's a few of them, but
what really affected me was like the experience was so good. I started being like, maybe I was wrong. This equipment up close looks kind of cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So now I'm like in the experience, like, you know what? Maybe I'm a judgy shit. Maybe the fact that it's a reboot, maybe I'm bumping into the 2016 reboot of it all. Yeah. Maybe it's not that I didn't like the trailer. Maybe I was
issues
wrong.
On paper.
Correct.
You let.
Sometimes your subconscious takes over. And I sat down for the movie, and they gave me a nice cola. They gave me a nice popcorn.
Which is usually how I placate you.
It's true, and it works every time almost. I had my buddy Tahir with me. He was my guest, and I put my proton pack down in front of me, and the movie starts. The first gag works, And I'm like, fucking A.
Oh, okay.
Let's go. There's a gag.
The skeet gag is in the trailer.
Is in the trailers first, but the first actual gag in the movie is a cup falls over because they're in a haunted mansion. And then all the tourists leave, and it's remote controlled.
Oh.
So not a real... I'm like...
See, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, because you haven't sullied your eyeballs.
I'm, you know, I stick to my guns.
And
if
then,
I say I'm not going to watch... if I say I'm not going to watch something, Madame Tussauds herself could show up in ghost form. And first I would say, no, you wax-covered bitch. I said no. Then I'd bust her. But that's just me.
It's true.
That's just me.
He would bust her romantically.
Sure, Buster.
And then that was the first and last gag that worked. It then wound up being by 20 minutes in, my buddy Tahir's dead asleep.
Wow.
He's like in a dad coma.
Well, he works hard, and he just produces children.
So
on the
many
regular,
children.
so I get it. So short version long. After the cup gag, you were out. All right. So obviously this is a very, very different this is a different experience. So like I said, we promise we're gonna do our level best to not spoil anything whatsoever, even seemingly minor things, which our last segment threatened to do, but I checked myself because once again,
you didn't want to wreck yourself.
I didn't want to wreck myself, but also as well as when I say something, I mean it. Never seen 2016. Any case,
you're gonna be sick one day.
No,
and you're not gonna be able to move. And I'm gonna clockwork orange your eyes.
No, except no, it's not gonna happen. But I do want to say this. Like, this is not a spoiler. To anybody except people who know us. The two of us sat there, right? They had this long extended wait. We heard from Jason Reitman,
yes,
the director of Afterlife, and obviously the son of the famous, like, all-timer Ivan Reitman. And his name escapes me also, but
Gail Kinnaman.
Is that right? Gil, not Gil.
Gail. Stormy Weathers.
So we heard from the co-writer and original director. We also heard from the other co-writer and director of the sequel. They kind of walked us in, and the movie started. And friends, two bigger, goofy grins you have never seen, like you would have seen on these two punums. It was, guys, from the opening freaking credits, it was just little kid transportation.
Yeah.
Immediately you just went right to that place, kind of sinking on your family's broken in couch, and just like, and to a degree, and there were children there. It's funny because with a premiere of any kind, but a world premiere, we saw celebrities who were like, who the hell is that? There's one particular brunette with kind of big ears that I'm still trying to ID.
I literally went through IMDb today. I couldn't figure it out.
I still can't figure her out. Guys, big-eared brunettes, lovely actresses. If they come to mind, wasn't Jennifer Garner. That was a suggestion that I got multiple times. Was not her.
Ironically, I know the kids' names, and I wish I didn't. Their flight suits were first name.
What kind of creepy...
Dude, you were the one that brought up.
That's the only issue that the only umbrage that I take with
the whole day.
I'm like, don't put their first names on their flight suit. Like, they're a promise of a puppy and free candy away from getting took.
Which is how John kidnapped me.
Yeah. And look how well it worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlie, speaking for myself again, shit-eating grin.
One of my favorites.
Until the very first, like, danger moment. I'm like, oh no. I was 100% invested in the plot.
There was probably like 4 times where I ripped my head away from the screen to just look at and the first one was just sheer joy, like I haven't seen on your face in a minute. And then there's a spooky,
just like a little dum-dum trying taffy for the first. I'm like,
then there was like a spooky moment. I checked in on you, and you were full like, oh no, spooky. And I can only imagine that mine was like a drool-induced version of that. I
couldn't really see it because you were in those girls' laps.
I was so warm.
Like, Charlie, man, there's a time and a place, bro. It's the movie.
I had 2 comfortable positions. basically laying down
Yeah.
or on top of the person in front of me. Those seats had a high swivel ratio.
Yeah.
And also, flight suits aren't particularly like movie. They don't allow a ton of
It's basically
movement.
like trying to sleep in a pillowcase.
Yes,
Like you're the pillow. But I just, you know what, and again, my timing was thrown off a little bit, but I really want to speak to the level of community with these nerds is so above and beyond anything, guys. Anything whatsoever. If ever you do have the opportunity in the wild to just straight up chill with exclusively Ghostbuster fans, because look, nerds are nerds for a bunch of stuff. Like this recording area will show you. Like if you're a geek for one thing, you're not exclusive. Like you are not in an exclusive relationship.
You mean not everyone has a Ghostbuster, Kevin Smith,
slash
AEW,
slash
G.I. Joe,
slash
Godzilla,
slash any shit lying around on the discount rack that you come across? Like that's kind of neat a little bit.
You leave
I'll
my
take 'em
Wakanda
all.
Forever collection out of this.
So, that was one of the things that really struck me as kind of a part-time Ghostbuster geek. At least, you know.
I mean, you have like a
in
dozen
that-
events under your belt.
It's true.
You've
But
scooted and booted.
I don't know what the actual number is that makes you like official.
23.
But fair enough. So I'm halfway there, guys. Halfway there. I certainly don't have to
Whoa!
it was really amazing to me, like people from multiple states that you recognize, like they had better facial recognition than the security in the fucking in AMC Lincoln Square had, and they had good security. It was amazing to me. These people, they knew each other. There were Detroit Ghostbusters there. There were Buffalo Ghostbusters there. There were people from all the hell.
The Germans
all the
ran through one of the
Germans
most
came
premier
through.
groups.
Like somebody better tell Mel real quick because he needs to write a quick song. It was just amazing. Now having the expertise, having the Ghostbuster mileage under your belt, proverbially, did that aspect of it surprise you, or is that exactly what you expected?
No, you know, the last few years, quarterbacked by the amazing Buffalo Ghostbusters, assisted by the wonderful New York City Ghostbusters, and some might argue starring the Long Island Ghostbusters, Ghostbuster Day at the Hook and Ladder,
Cameo slash guest star.
the face of Ghostbuster headquarters that still functions as a firehouse. Every year,
Hook and ladder.
every single year, the Buffalo Ghostbusters quarterback an amazing fundraiser for them on Ghostbuster Day.
Yes.
So these are
There
faces.
is good money.
These are faces. These are names I've seen now for 4 years in a row. These are some people I've married. A couple of Florida Ghostbusters last year at Ghostbusters Day. These are people who are, you would consider yourself a part-time Ghostbuster. We're like all part-time best friends. It's like we see each other or we see a post and you kind of jump in as if we've known each other for 30 years. And the truth is we're really just unified by some khaki, some uncomfortable boots, and some unlicensed nuclear
Like people who work at the Gap.
It's exactly like if you see someone wearing a Gap shirt, you're just immediately best friends.
Hi, I'm Charlie. Can I help you?
Exactly. Now, so that part for me was like to be expected. What I think I was surprised by was the giddy nature of it all, because I've seen a lot of these people very, very comfortable. We're comfortable outside of the firehouse.
I think I know why.
We're comfortable when we have in the movie, Winston so beautifully said, we have the tools, we have the talent. That's a lot of times how charity work feels. When you're there with a mission statement that's not specifically just to be there to show off.
Yeah.
You can distract yourself by giving away stickers. Tourists want to take photos. People want to know what the hell's going on.
Talking trash to each other, which there was plenty of that.
A little bit of that. There was a certain giddy energy where everyone was kind of like patiently and nervously waiting for every step of the day,
Honestly, I think that was because of the uncertainty
Yeah.
of the process.
What the
because,
hell is going on?
In the fundraising capacity, that action item list is set. Like you kind of know, well, first this, and then setup, and then there's going to be conversations, there's going to be questions. It's probably going to be the same question 50 times. That this question is going to be asked 25 times, and blah blah blah. for the most part, nobody knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Everybody just knew, show up here, and then something is going to happen.
Eventually, you'll get it.
Like, we took a ton of pictures. We had the modified, I guess, re-modified Ecto was there. If you've watched any of the commercials or trailers, you know that there is like a tech new tech van, which is black, but it's got the Ghostbusters logo. That sucker was there. They set up the red carpet for all the celebs, and Charlie knew some of them personally. I'm like, God, who am I? What the hell? Like, what am I? This kid's living a whole life that I'm unaware of.
So our friends at Hasbro.
But I do have to say, Charlie, that and again, this is as spoiler risky as I'm gonna get here. Afterlife was Afterlife because it needed to tug on our heartstrings.
Yeah.
Just to remind us, hey, you have emotional skin in the game with this franchise. This franchise matters to you for whatever the reason is. That has nothing to do with us, but it matters to you. And we're going to remind you right now what that feels like. So that was almost like, and it was delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like it was, grilled up with garlic and oil and fried up nice, but it was still vegetables. Afterlife was vegetables. They used the nostalgia to get us back invested after a miss. I'm going to be kind and just say it was a misstep in 2016 for whatever the reason, but it was a misstep. Whereas Afterlife got us right back in.
Yeah.
So now we've studied, right? We've done our preparation.
We know who's who and what's
now
what.
we're like, all right, I got my napkin tied around my neck. I got my knife and got my fork. You know what I'm missing right now? The steak. And boys and girls and everything else, this was steak. This was a pure nom 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 experience. This was Ghostbusters that you remember. This was fun. This was a little too adult for the kids in the audience, but this was meaningful. This was monster fights and special effects and comedy, and it just hit for me, Charlie, on every level. It was a Ghostbusters movie. If they roll off a dozen more just like this, I will be the happiest kid in town.
Well, some breaking news. Bill Murray apparently has signed over his stop rights. So for a long time, it was a problem getting some stuff off the ground because Bill had to sign off on it. And
didn't he do that for the first one?
Hard to get to. No, he agreed to the first one. But apparently now it's free and clear. With all that being said, I think you hit the nail perfectly on the head. This movie, when you take into account all the Ghostbuster goodness, if you have to blend it and pour out a recipe for what is Ghostbusters, I think that answers that call. I think if the mission statement of this movie was to take everything from Afterlife, take everything from Ghostbusters 2, take everything from Ghostbusters 1, push that story forward with also moving these new characters' arcs forward, because by and large,
movie did. It did not forget.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The characters that were introduced, it just picked up and ran.
It does a wonderful job. So for me, to speak specifically about Afterlife, to feed into Frozen Empire, what I love about Afterlife is it's a story about this girl who feels almost like she doesn't belong. She knows she has her family. She knows they love
100%.
her, but she does not have friends. It's literally said in the movie, maybe you'll make a friend, and her response is, make him out of what? This is a person who's kind of so mentally beyond her peers.
She was like Ralph Macchio in Karate Kid.
She was kind of like Ralph,
really
only less of a dick. Like Ralph's the bad guy in that movie.
Again, she had siblings.
That's true.
Like God only knows.
How dare you?
Well, you have no idea the grenade that I have jumped on for you people, and you're welcome.
This fucking guy.
But yeah, look. Speaking more so, I mean, look. I think everyone here had the same reaction to Afterlife. We still have wet eyes from it.
Well, but my point about Afterlife specifically is Phoebe's story in Afterlife ends with her finding her place in the world. And what's amazing about Frozen Empire, it does not forget what her arc was in that first movie and keeps it going for the way that life does. Life is sometimes like, okay, well, I found my passion. I found my calling. I found why I'm a Spangler. I found who I am. Well, what does the next year look like? Because it's not, stories don't fucking abruptly end.
Well, it's like a comic book in that sense.
Yes.
Because comic books, they just bleed on to the next big arc. But what I'm shocked, and I left this wide open for you, and Charles was like, nope, I'm not going to take that shot. Very Lakers-ish of you. What I thought you were just going to come with immediately, and they had so much capital with my brother going into this, was the fact that, Charlie, this was like a 2-hour real Ghostbusters in live action.
It's
100%. If this had been animated and condensed to like a 22-minute
or like a 4-parter. We could do a 4-parter.
They could. It was 100% that vibe, which I absolutely loved. And in sitting there in my afterglow, that's when I was peed. I'm like, all it was missing was like a dancing ghost going down the sidewalk.
I mean, Mike off of Facebook is saying Afterlife destroyed him in the best way.
Michael Newman, what is up, sir?
If Afterlife destroyed you, Frozen Empire, we will rebuild you stronger, faster.
They're gonna do a RoboCop on you, Newman. You are going to love it.
And there was an interview that I saw headers for, but never read because I don't like spoilers. But Kumail Nanjiani, who's in the film, was quoted as saying, like, this is kind of the cartoon come to life. And hearing that, it set my expectations incredibly high.
He was right.
And then they delivered. Which for me was, I understand and I respect the people who grew up with Ghostbusters, the first movie, 1984 classic, one of the best sci-fi comedies of all time. You have to debate about it if there's an argument to be made.
A definitive 80s movie also.
Very true.
Like the fact that it existed within the 80s, but also informed you about the 80s. Like you walked away having a better understanding about that era if you hadn't lived it or experienced it, or was frankly just too immature or not aware to know what the hell was going on at the time. It's like a time capsule in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's also its own individual thing.
But I had merely like 4 hours at best of Ghostbusters cinema, and then I had 100 hours of real Ghostbusters. And that experience with real Ghostbusters,
that was your entry.
They opened up the world so much that it was these larger than life villains. So if any criticism could be made,
historical stuff they
my
did,
God, they took from everything. These writers,
they basically like Dan Brown before Dan Brown ever Dan Brown.
Yes.
And the writing was better, quite frankly, if we're being totally honest. The way that they approached it, and that's another thing about Afterlife. Some naysayers who are very tall, but I will not mention by name for fear of giving them more power. Some naysayers like, well, the nostalgia of it all, you just got a retread of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I argue, I'm like, well, that's by design.
Yeah.
There's for a reason for it, but opinions are
assholes.
They're yours. However, again, no spoilers, but there are commercials out there. That's the furthest thing from what they did here. They completely opened up to a new page. It was like they had Tobin's spirit guide right there in front of them when they were writing the script. They said, this one, and they moved on. And that was 100% in the style, in the vein, in the spirit of the real Ghostbusters cartoon, because that was like a pure version of the, villain of the day, villain of the episode. Like page 72. It was so great, and to know that there are all of these mostly fictional threats out there in the world. Again, spoilers be damned. But we have something to look forward to.
There's something about opening that fresh page. What I really loved about this particular version of a fresh page, they also allude to, just like Afterlife did, they allude to all those pages we didn't see. There are informed pages. There's stuff you see. There's stuff you see.
There's stuff only you partially saw.
There's stuff you hear. There's stuff that's made loud and clear. Again, I won't even mention it for fear that it's not in all the trailers. It was in the one trailer I saw. But there are characters who have baseball caps because they've played baseball before. And you're like, that isn't a new thing. It is a wonderful, wonderful way to keep this story going and to add more momentum to it. And what I really, really appreciate about Afterlife is, or rather Frozen Empire, part 4, it's a part 4. And now suddenly Ghostbusters doesn't feel like it had one world-changing movie and then it had a sequel that people were kind of indifferent of, and then years later they kind of brought it back. Now, for the first time I think ever, it feels to me like Ghostbusters is a proper cinematic story.
It's a franchise.
4 fucking chapters.
It's a franchise.
It's a franchise.
As opposed to like a trilogy.
Correct.
Or a pair of movies.
And much like Rocky 4, there's room for more Rockies. Now, hopefully it doesn't go the Rocky route. Rocky 5 isn't.
As long as it's still called Rocky and not, Creed Busters.
What about Rocky Balboa?
I think
Rocky Plus.
That's true. Imagine he had his own streamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we've been very, very clear. We both absolutely loved the movie. I personally can't wait to see the movie again in the cinema, and Charlie can attest to the fact that is not my thing. That's Charlie's thing.
Yeah.
Charlie will go see a movie in the theater that he didn't like. He's like, I forgot a few reasons why I didn't like it. Let me go see it again. I like popcorn, but not that much. We both absolutely love the movie, but also as well as, and it can't be downgraded, the day was amazing.
Yeah,
it really was just an awesome day. Being in the city for that reason, being with so many like-minded people, also being with our own natural selection of individuals. I'm talking about celebrities. We pressed the flesh like, hey, good to see you. All right. It was just an awesome, awesome, awesome day and experience, man.
The fact that you learned that Matt Cardona, professional wrestler, king of the indies, has the softest hands in the business.
Let me say, I
unexpected delights of the day.
I was not going to put this out there because the man's business is his own. I hope this is not. You know what? I changed my mind. There will be one spoiler. Matt Cardona, masterful wrestler, married to an equally masterful wrestler herself, but it's Matt Cardona that clearly does the dishes in the household, and he uses Palmolive because his hands, woo, firm handshake, rightfully so for a man of that musculature, but soft of the baby's bottom. Oh, those soft hands, Matt. God bless you. God bless you.
I think it's all the baby powder he throws in people's faces during matches.
Listen. I don't want to know the secret. I don't want to look behind the curtain. I don't want to see Oz there. I just know what I know. Soft hands.
Fair enough.
Strong man.
Fair enough. For me, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is very, very different than the movie I thought I was going to get. And for the second time now in a row, that was a good thing. Afterlife, I was wrong with the direction they were going. Frozen Empire, I was wrong with the direction they're going. At this point, I have full faith.
Just getting good at being wrong.
I'm so good at it. But I think the team at Ghost Corps, which is a division of Sony, which is of Columbia Pictures rather, which is a division of Sony. Ghost Corps handles all this stuff. That's their daily thing. How do you keep Ghostbusters out there? How do you push this franchise forward? They clearly have a team right now that knows exactly what they're doing, and it happens to line up perfectly with what I didn't know I wanted. Pump it into my veins. Ghostbusters every couple of years until McKenna Grace is a grandma. I absolutely love it.
They've made it so that the handoff process is very, very clear and can be super successful because I now care about these new characters just as much as I care about the OG ones.
More family dynamic.
Helmets in uniform.
Oh my God! What a great, absolute great moment. Now
Now I know what Mark Hamill saw in her.
Oh my gosh,
she's a dime pig.
She really, on the red carpet, she looked like a snack. Good job. I won't ever ask you to put stuff in order. I do agree that doesn't have
You
a
ask me
value.
that every day.
It's true, and I'm gonna ask you every
It's
other
like,
day.
hey, what's your favorite Pop-Tart to least favorite Pop-Tart?
I'm gonna ask you in the next segment probably, but for me, this is it's fucking great. As a person who loves Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters 2 I think has to move down the line to make way for Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Huge thank you to Ghost Corps for letting us attend that premiere.
Also, the free popcorn, the free delicious icy.
Yo, the mini puff icy was a delight.
Yeah, mini puff.
More like
icy.
a delight.
That was the way to go.
Yeah, I messed up. I went green apple slimer.
Screwed up.
But still delicious. A little too sweet. But do it to it.
Super sweet.
Again, I can't wait to see it again. My group, the Long Island Ghostbusters, we're going to be at Island 16, beautiful Long Island, 12 to 5 Saturday.
This Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
I think that's the 24th. My other group, the New York City Ghostbusters, this coming Thursday, the 21st, we're going to be at Regal Times Square for the 40X presentation. Come take some photos,
23rd,
see some real Ghostbusters. The 23rd at Island 16, the 21st at Regal Times Square with the New York City Ghostbusters. This weekend, though, if you want a little bit of real Ghostbusters while you wait to get to the beautiful Frozen Empire,
You mean there are people who haven't seen it yet?
Long Island. If you're a Long Island local, VPW, one of the hottest indie promotions
VPW.
on the earth. We have a great show coming up. Your Long Island Ghostbusters is going to be there. If you're in the Patchogue, New York, also in Long Island area, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, your Long Island Ghostbusters is going to be rolling around with the Ecto Fun. The Ecto LI will be fully charged, shooting out streams, having a good time, and we'll let you buy us drinks if you really want. But final thought for me, before I kick it to you, my final thought on Frozen Empire. I get nervous when things I love do the thing I ask for, which is give me more, right? Because eventually I feel like maybe it's destiny that the wheels fall off the bus. I'm happy to report. Not yet. It's not time yet. I still got plenty of love to give. Absolutely adore it. And I love that I now have new shit to buy. I'm not saying that like just new little gear patch.
Boy, this
red parkas, all sorts of shit to buy.
He's like, debt ceiling be damned.
If you want a Ghostbusters jersey, we're now selling them 100% to charity. $100 fully customizable.
That's your guys?
Yeah, any
That's
size you want, any name, any number.
Very.
You could do 2 numbers. I put my number on the front. I put Egon's name and 89 on the back for Ghostbusters 2.
Smart.
I know I'm the best.
Oh, it's so soft.
Oh, so
Soft. It's so soft.
You gotta, as my mother points out, you gotta dry on the line. You can't throw this in the dryer. You're trying to ruin colors. Get out of here.
She's like, I know a little something about ruining laundry. Trust me.
It's just pouring bleach.
That being said, my final thought is just real simple. Go see this movie. Get out there, see it as soon as possible, because ghosts are ghosts. They can't help it.
Fuckers.
Monsters, though. Monsters are monsters, and a lot of these monsters are human, and they will yuck your yum. They will spoil stuff for you. There are so many beats and moments that as they happen and put such enjoyment into my heart and smile on my face, it was immediately followed by like, oh no. I hope some people don't have that moment I just had ruined for them.
Yeah.
And if anybody tells you, no, people are going to be cool about it. People won't be spoilish about a movie like this that is so looked forward to. They are one thing and one thing only. And that one thing is just like that. Sorry, Ellis. It is just like that chinless selling his baby to the highest bidder. Some bitch. George Toy Boy Lucas. Charlie. Tell them why.
Because...
Han shot first. I salute.
Crystal Head.
A little
Crystal Head vodka.
Dan Aykroyd juice. Whoop.
Oh.
Oh, Dan's trying to keep the business going by making a ghost out of me.
Dan, look at this. Look at this.
Oh, God. He's so pretty.
Who are you gonna call?
He's so pretty.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan
To get
Aykroyd.
fucked up. Me and Dan. John.
I'll believe anything if there's a steady check in it.
That's true. John, let's keep the Ghostbusters goodness
Keep
talking.
it going.
You said the magic words. You said Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Honored, brought to the silver screen.
And it did.
Finally, John, Real Ghostbusters meant the absolute world to me. It was my introduction to the Ghostbusters. It was my way in not only to become obsessed with Peter, Ray, Winston, and Egon. It was their continuing adventures. Even once you and Dad so inappropriately let me watch the 1984 classic, all it did was further inform who these cats were.
This is that movie based on my favorite cartoon? Dope.
And what I loved about the cartoon, you mentioned in the last segment, the creature of the week, the monster of the week. A lot of times in Real Ghostbusters, it was the fucking world ender of the week. The Ghostbusters may be paranormal janitors, basically, but if you don't wipe up that trash, if you don't take care of business, John, we are on Wednesday we're fucked, on Thursday we're fucked, on Friday we're fucked.
That's what they thought about, just like, oh, it's okay if trash lays in the street. Then the rats came, and then so did the bubonic plague. So no, there's no such thing as a small threat. It's all world enders if you give enough time.
A fucking problem. And what I loved about Real Ghostbusters is even today, even with pretending I'm a full functioning adult, there are some episodes that stick out that are so ready to either be adapted or to hear me in stereo. There are so many amazing.
You loved it.
I really did. Hearing my own voice is kind of the bee's knees. Some of these episodes I absolutely love.
Hit us with your. Let's not eat them all up. Give me what's your number one favorite? Because you love making lists. Now I only ask because I know mine, and I'm like, there must have been 8,000 episodes, so he can't possibly pick mine. But watch this shit happen. Go ahead. What's your favorite episode?
Before
even
I give
even if it's a group.
Sure. Before I give you that direct answer, can I tell a very quick story?
Of course you can.
When I was little,
Try to stop you.
When I was little, John, the reason I love movies so much is John did not prevent me from watching any movie.
No.
So if John was watching it, he wasn't going to fucking put on Care Bears. I was going to get to see some shit.
Snitches get stitches, bro.
And one time I saw Freddy Krueger, and it like ruined my life for a couple weeks. And I distinctly remember I had a dream where Superman tore Freddy the fucking half, and then I was no longer afraid of Freddy. Because I'm like, this guy's a bitch. If I'm
petrified of Superman, though.
Exactly. I'm like, he goes, oh, fucking Zack Snyder, you're right. He's a murderer.
Aliens.
The Boogeyman Cometh is an episode of Real Ghostbusters about the Boogeyman is real and used to, like, fuck with little baby Egon to the point where that's why Egon got into paranormal studies.
Oh, he got personal.
He got into
quick.
monsters. And this little kid goes to the firehouse, these two little siblings, which you know I fucking eat up like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And they're like, we brought you our fucking piggy bank. I remember this episode so vividly. And the Ghostbusters are like, oh, these stupid kids are afraid of the boogeyman.
You little goof.
What a bunch of dicks. And they mention it to Egon. And Egon's like, fuck me. Like this. Like, it was a very adult episode.
That is not
They
a
just
quote.
did a lot of cursing. And it turns out not only is the boogeyman real, he lives in a plane where he can go into children's closets, like a fucking real Michael Jackson situation. And
I'm like Travolta?
and like, damn,
That kind of plane?
allegedly. And the episode is so unique to me because it's another one of those like boogeyman's like the boogeyman remembered Egon, which was absolutely brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely fucking brutal, and the episode is amazing. And it ends like all good cartoons from that era did. There's like a morality lesson.
Everything's fine.
Little Egon's like, I don't be afraid of shit. And he like blows up a proton pack in his dimension, fucks his day up. That big-headed, scary-voiced motherfucker. Every now and then I think, and I remember how
I can
creeped
picture
out.
him. I can picture him vividly in my mind.
I can't do an impersonation of the voice because It's too scary.
No, it's haunting. It's haunting. dare I
And
say.
rightfully so.
And rightfully so. Now, for me, whenever there's a concept, there's so much ego, there's just so much hubris happening in a relatively medium-sized package that I sometimes even shock myself.
Medium package?
So that being said, that being said, when a concept is presented in such a way that it's both entertaining and titillating at the same
This might be
time,
my second favorite.
oh, it hits like a jackhammer. So there is an episode, one of the few episodes of the Real Ghostbusters that occurs outside the city limits,
Yes.
outside the greater boroughs of New York City. And a matter of fact, I think they end up going upstate to a kind of like a not so populated town, kind of like an old-fashioned Dutch type of environment. And
I like the way you describe
well,
it so much.
it could be an episode description, I won't say. But in effect, they have like a werewolf problem.
Fuck yes.
So that's why they're kind
this
of
isn't
brought
even the
in,
one I
and
thought
they're
of.
and they're like, oh, we've got this issue, and that was the type of world building that the cartoon did, and I give Charlie a lot of credit because even in the late '80s, you really run the risk, even as a Brooklyn kid, you're like, cartoon stuff. Nope, Charlie kept me in the cartoon life. I was like mid '90s watching that Disney, that Disney 2-hour block. I'm all about the gummy bears, son. But like I was just completely in, and so the Ghostbusters now. Oh, there's werewolves are also a thing in Ghostbuster. Fucking
The
verse,
mythos?
the Ghostbusters verse. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, now we're there, and Ghostbusters come to find out. This I will spoil.
The cartoon from the early 90s, you bastard.
Their employers are actually vampires. Just for some reason, like their employees aren't around in the day. It's just so weird. Finally, it comes back to like that 11-minute
Cartoons
mark,
rip.
and they're like, wait a minute. There's something very wrong here. So it turns out that because of the vampire werewolf beef that has been going on apparently forever, which Little John didn't know about. I learned about that whole underworld level Bloods versus Crips issue that had been going on, that now we see it all the time. And when it pops up, I'm like, oh, Real Ghostbusters taught me that. And the best part was that at one point it's like a full West Side Story gang warfare where the vampires are fighting the werewolves. The werewolves are fighting the vampires. And not only are they fighting fisticuffs, it's not like a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson situation. No, they are biting on each other. And all those poor animators must have been like hating the writers at that point, because every time a werewolf bit a vampire, guess what happened? The vampire turned into a werewolf, and reverse every time a vampire bit a
Fuck, I would
werewolf.
watch that episode right now.
The werewolf became a vampire, so there's just people just like morphing and hair falling off and growing back and teeth growing, and it was so good. Legitimately, the first time that concept ever occurred to me or was presented to me, and literally now, I feel like I can't get away from it. I feel like that's haunting me, and that shit was laid down to me by the Real Ghostbusters.
It's fucking amazing. Those road trip episodes were always amazing, and it's like something that
Like a Muppet movie.
Exactly. One of my other favorites, it's actually the one I thought you were going to talk about, but the Ghostbusters head on down to Sleepy fucking Hollow, and they just were like, you remember Headless Horseman? Headless Motorcyclist? That's different enough. And all I remember is fucking Peter Venkman on a goddamn hog, just Venkman on a motorbike being chased by the Headless Horseman, and they end it. What I loved about Real Ghostbusters is as many times as the episode was like, blow up a trap, which was basically the cartoon's version of Crossing the Streams. Like, if you blow up a trap, it solves it every time. Their fucking proton pack budget was out of control. They also would sometimes just have fucking super clever shit. So for the Headless Horseman, they trick him into leaving Sleepy Hollow. And then his ghost is like, fuck off, ghost. You don't get to materialize anymore. So he's racing Peter, throwing fiery motorcycle helmets, cool as shit. And Peter tricks him. He crosses the line and fucking goes on to the other side.
Peter Mixel-plicked him.
Do you have another one? If not, I have one loaded. Hit me.
No, for sure. So
there are so many bangers, and a lot of them like in the first couple seasons.
And I do try. I'm still trying to avoid potential spoilers for the new movie.
Yes, it's hard, kind of, right?
Well, also for the fact that like, well, if I mention, so clearly you guys already know that the Headless Horseman, vampires and werewolves don't appear anywhere in the new movie, but only because as I was watching Afterlife, as it was happening in real time, I thought, oh, is this gonna happen right now? Because also as well as
Afterlife or Frozen Empire?
Afterlife, because
Gotcha.
again, it's already happened. People have seen it. There is a Real Ghostbusters episode where the boys go into the spirit realm.
Yes.
And what they really are, and by doing so, what they're actually doing is they are navigating in the fucking trap. In the containment unit in the basement, our boys are now in this other realm. In effect, it's like when a cop himself goes to prison and he's like, I put most of, basically like Rorschach.
Yes.
And it was their version.
I'm trapped in here with me.
Hey guy, this thief, this fucking thief, this guy's unbelievable. He is 1,000 for 1,000 in robbing me blind. You thought that it was gonna stop. That it was gonna stop before night? It's not.
No,
it's not. He will rob and rob and rob. He's never satiated. Yes, exactly right. They were in there
with trying to punch him shit.
With the line I was gonna say. That's not a punch up, bro. But the Ghostbusters were in there. It was as if a cop went to prison and the cop put every prisoner in there himself.
That's the cop that invented handcuffs.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Oh, it's Officer George Handcuffs. Get him. It was such an awesome thing. And one of the really neat things about it was, and it wasn't just for the opening credits either. Like on occasion, they would animate a straight up familiar ghost.
Yeah.
And like, so Stay Puft is in there, and I'm like, oh, that is straight up amazing. Like what they were able to do, and the connections that they made from the live action to the animation, and now that it's going backwards, retroactively, is just dynamite. But it was an amazing, and the way that they illustrated what it's like. So we think of it like it's literally like a metal hole in the wall. No. It was spacious as hell, just like an open floor plan. For containment units.
What I absolutely adore to tack on to that thought, another one of my favorite episodes, the Ghostbusters are flown to Hollywood to look over the movie being made about their first adventure. So the implication,
that's some James Bond vibes.
The way the movie ends, and it's fucking awesome because at one point a ghost shows up because Ghostbusters,
sure,
and they're like, let's fucking grab our proton packs. And they put them onto the fucking prop proton packs, so they don't do but shit. Dude, so clever.
Come on, and
that episode ends.
Chef's kiss.
That episode ends with them watching like the last second of credits of the real movie, and Peter goes like, "That Bill guy doesn't sound anything like me."
That's amazing.
They sound like lawyers. Fucking like Murray Ackroyd, and I'm like, the fucking
that is
just delicious.
Aware, but what would your next? I know that's it.
That's a contender, but my next favorite one, also very much. It was the original. In a lot of ways, was the original sequel because it takes place after the Marshmallow Man fight in the cartoon version, and the suits are covered in ectoplasm and puff. And they throw them in a box, and they go, these are two psychokinetically charged. Peter...
Which is a thing.
Peter, go burn these. And Pete goes like, sure thing, guys, but I'm awfully sleepy, and kicks the fucking box.
Because he was also Garfield.
Behind the containment unit. And then
amazing.
Ghostbusters show up. And like in the khaki suits,
but
they're green. I have a toy of it.
Oh, I remember that.
So it's the only time in the cartoon. It's the second time really that you see them in the khaki flight suits.
Yes.
And then they take them off, throw them in the box, and then ghost visages of them in the khaki flight suits, and they like have Ghostbuster proton packs that they manifest.
Do they show? Do they show? God. Do they show them being so scared that their hair colors change?
Imagine,
because, like, that is just why? Why did that just happen?
Make them look the same.
Why
Imagine being Dan Aykroyd, who's like in shape as fuck in the first one, getting sucked off by ghosts.
Like, wait a minute.
And like, here's the cartoon. He's 4'3". He's fat as fuck.
You made me the wrong Blues Brother. Like, who drew this, and why are you so angry at me all the time?
The guy has Jake tattooed on his hand. Like, oh, you bitch. Oh, it's a super fan.
The cartoon was just outstanding. So my final thought, and then you wrap it.
Yeah.
Look, it was as worthy of a sequel as kind of like kids were gonna get, because for whatever reason, like, we'll go. I often have this thought, and just the other day we did a rewatch of the original, the '84 classic. I'm watching it like that. This is not for kids at all. Like 0% for kids. Like, it starts with some very light sexual harassment, and it doesn't really go anywhere but down from there in those terms. Not for kids whatsoever, but 80s kids were just a different breed,
hip
man.
motherfuckers.
We were just a different
We'll take
breed.
that a Rambo cartoon, please.
They'll be like, look, we're letting you let yourself into the apartment on your own. You may as well make a cartoon out of anything at all that you want, and they damn well did. But it was, again, I think that ultimately the cartoon is more responsible than anything else for keeping the franchise alive until it was time for a new live action installment. Where whatever decade that happened in, it was the cartoon in the original run. It was the cartoon in its when VHS kind of took over. I'm like, oh, you stupid goofy kids can watch this thing whenever they want. And then when the internet starts like, hey, remember this? Like, Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters rather, is a vehicle that can tell that story in and of itself. But just a dynamite, very worthy successor to the live.
Yeah, and I think my final thought on it was, because obviously I agree with you, because
I'm right.
You're just
all the time.
Succinct, at least some of the time. I'll give a bunch of the time even. The real Ghostbusters was so powerful that I agree with you. It kept the franchise going, but its power went beyond that, because at one point they tried to do a new cartoon. They tried to basically do a sequel series called Extreme Ghost. But put that down. Put that away. I have a point to make. Put that away. Available for pre-order now on Amazon, finally on DVD. The two most beloved episodes of that other series,
I'm familiar,
is called Back in the Saddle, Part 1 and 2, and it brings back the OGs. It was the first time that they basically pull an Afterlife where the old boys show up to help Egon, and I would argue
the old
movie kind
animated boys.
Exactly. With the hair's all wrong color. Peter sounds like a cat. It's fucking awesome. Better than when he sounded like he lived in a full house.
That happens. I can attest to that.
In my opinion, I think it's one of those things, it's so rare that something is based on something and then informs the next version of it, no matter what that version is.
Well, and this, I don't want to leave this off the table or unmentioned. The Ghostbusters video game with the rookie was one of the better bridges that video games have ever done. Like, that video game is really like a sequel, and if I'm not mistaken, I'll let you make the point. Where the plot for the video game came from was very specific. Is that what you're gonna mention?
That it was from the movie script, and also what I was also gonna say was, for those eagle-eyed fans, more than ever before, that video game is given a big hug in Frozen Empire. I won't say how. It's given a subtle,
Something
easy to
keep your
miss,
eye open for.
but it's one of those things that, like, if you keep your peepers peeped, you're going to be like, motherfucker.
Wait a minute.
I remember that set piece. I absolutely loved it. The other thing I love, honestly, to try to match the energy of your segue coming, I love not being a sellout piece of shit who just for a couple dollars will do an advertisement for anyone. So unofficially, we were brought to you by Ghost Corps. They gave me one of my absolute favorite Thursday nights of all,
one of the best
friggin' time
cinematically
ever. But we're also, of course, brought to you by one of our absolute favorite bands, that of course is Bad Mary. You heard them during the intro. You're gonna hear them again at the end of the show. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, You can follow them at why he act like that? Acting. You can follow them over at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/Bad Mary Band. You can stay up to date. BadMary.com for merch, upcoming performances. But my favorite part is their whole discography is available across all music streaming services.
Hell yeah, but that still leaves the question, where we dropping? As always, it is with Sergeant Finesse, wherever he is currently gaming right now as of this live recording. It is effectively kick.com, but he is also still dabbling with the tick to the talk. Who knows? There's certain political personalities that would have it be banned, so who knows how much longer that's going to happen. But he's still doing his thing, just dropping great gaming content, giveaways, contests, supporter games, co-streams. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Also, as well as if you have some time left on your busy schedule, head over to Twitch. Another one of our boys, Jokers_stream_. Joker is a dynamite. Really, like, we know him from playing Fortnite, but he plays all kinds of other games as well. Also, at the same time, while cosplaying, some of the best cosplay that I've ever seen. Never mind the fact that the little thumbs are going like crazy. He's just racking up high scores. Like it was that greasy covered Mortal Kombat cabinet game in this pizzeria with the JRR. Look out for my scores. Just, there are people out there doing what they do. I love to see it when somebody loves what they're doing. Even if you're not into that particular thing, the energy is infectious. So just, guys, be like our sponsors. Do the thing you love and do it in such a way that it brings enjoyment to other people. Don't yuck their yum. Get on board the energy train and ride it. Just like I'm going to ride this Ghostbusters energy. We're going to the firehouse in real life. Hook and ladder number 9. Number 8. I said 9 minus 1. Hook and ladder number 8. Downtown Manhattan. But we're going to take the elevator up to the roof. So Charlie, please do us all a favor. Hit that button.
Security! Get this fucking...
What the hell? First of all, Janine, what happened to your voice? Listen, I know...
smoked in the 80s.
Apparently, smoked what? That's the real question. All right, so...
What?
We're talking about Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We're talking about the real Ghostbusters.
They're super real.
Sure. Now, there's a reason why they're called the real Ghostbusters.
It's true.
Much like the GoBots and the Transformers, there was a version of a cartoon that preceded the version that we all know and love and think of first. So if I said to you, Charlie, there are robots that transform from one thing into another thing, but also as well as they have an intergalactic fight that spills over onto Earth and involves some humans that are, their heads on a swivel enough to kind of get involved. You would think that I'm talking about
Transformers.
Of course, but I don't.
More meets the eye.
They do, but I don't eat meat, so I would have been talking about the GoBots.
What?
The GoBots
Lazy ass transforming bitches.
came out before the Transformers, though you would not know from bankroll, from cachet, from from like social standings, or frankly by voiceover talent.
Shame.
Because there are all timers doing that Transformers ish. But again, there's a reason why the animated version of Winston and Peter and Ray and Egon and shit, even Slimer, why they are who they are. And they had to be the real Ghostbusters because Charlie, there was another Ghostbusters cartoon that actually predated our boys in not khaki but multicolored jumpsuits by how many? 5 days earlier. I am, of course, talking about Filmation's Ghostbusters.
Go Ghostbusters.
Woo!
Go.
I gotta tell you that this has caused more confusion over poor 80s kind of warped children's minds than maybe anything else. Charlie, there were simultaneously first run cartoons happening at the same time that were both called something Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, because they only ran for a clearly and with good reason a short amount of time, when they got collected and repackaged for that VHS and for for celluloid and for digital life afterlife, they are now referred to as Filmation's Ghostbusters. Just to help you, while the real Ghostbusters are always the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they're like, no fucking.
They're like, we're not gonna.
We don't need to say Sony.
We're not doing
Columbia.
it anymore. You made us put our names on the back of the jersey, where they're gonna stay there like the National League. But yeah. So this was a whole nother cartoon, and it was very similar, but very, very different. Do you have any real life, in the moment recollection of Filmation's Ghostbusters cartoon?
So the only childhood memory I have of Filmation's Ghostbusters was we used to have in the dark ages, you'd have to go to a channel that told you what the fuck was on when you were a kid. There was a lot of baseball and lame shit like that going on. So then you would see you'd see
the blue screen.
You would see four
First
episodes.
Excel experience.
Yeah, exactly. What's in column F2? You would see a full 2 hours, 2 hour block, John,
And just start rubbing his little
of
hands together.
Ghostbusters.
Yay, I'm so excited.
You're home alone, latchkey kid living it up. You turn it on, it's a fucking monkey and his nerd blonde friend with just
First
the
of all,
puffiest pants.
I will not have you besmirch Tracy's good name. Certainly.
Tracy can suck my butt.
You know what? Have you seen what he can do to a banana? I would be careful with that type of request. Tracy the gorilla. So yes, indeed, my little boy Charlie
I'm a monkey
was
by
right.
any other name.
How dare you? Oh, you disgust me. Tracy was a gorilla, and Tracy also drove the Ghostbusters
Which
jalopy,
was like alive.
which was also like a Model T, and this was not a throwback period piece. It was interesting though, because Tracy the gorilla was working with not the original, as far as their narrative was concerned, not the original Ghostbusters.
How fucking dare they do
but
this?
the children, the sons of the actual original in their narrative, the original Ghostbusters, because that cartoon as well was based on
adaptation.
a live action serial series intended for children. This was a live action children's
so many
show.
spaces in this name.
Man. So this was just and again, there was a space. So there was the space ghost space busters, and I can only imagine that fucking who put out the original?
Columbia.
Columbia. So they were like, nah, the Ice Cube, the Vanilla Ice version of explanation. He's like, no, it's different. That little ding 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 ding. See that space? It's different. Don't worry about it. But no, so Columbia had to actually pay licensing rights to this one season kind of awful live action children's show, which again, the show, and I did a little quick rewatch.
How fucking terrible if you like? Imagine if you watch, you like became obsessed. Like, the real Ghostbusters is
yo,
Gucci.
this is fire, son. Look at that gorilla go. So
that witch alien bitch is the coolest.
It was just a nod to like old Hollywood. At the same time, like, well, why are you fighting Dracula then? Like, what does this have to do with anything? So
Dracula's not a ghost, dick.
So they had Spencer. They had Tracy, naturally the gorilla. Now, when you've got a gorilla on your team, there's gonna be a Kong in there someplace. Yeah, you have a Kong. Not the gorilla though. A guy named Kong. It was just such a
piece of shit cartoon.
Except
our car's name is Jaws.
Except if you were a fan of F Troop, which I very much was, because this series
I'm about to walk off
starred
on this
none
show.
other than Larry Storch. Bum bum ba bum 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 ba bum bum.
Is this
Do you know F Troop?
No.
Oh,
I'm
F Troop.
young.
There are only so many shows that are loosely based on the cavalry versus the Native American Indians on the plain that a kid in the 80s can really sit through.
And
Charlie,
F Troop were the baby
this
faces?
was-
They're the good guys?
They were the...
Fuck you indigenous shit. Bang, 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 bang.
They're like, get back to your casino, we're the worst. And we're like, yay, F Troop.
How'd you kill
Charlie,
him this week, General?
F Troop.
Into a pillow. Toss it to him.
The slapstick hijinks from F Troop. Forrest Tucker was the other carryover.
Of course it was.
So basically, it was like F Troop, the sequel, but except now we catch ghosts. So these two characters, and also as well as a gorilla,
Do you have any ice? Because this stinks on us.
come over, and they're like, we're gonna catch ghosts now with a Ford Model T and a gorilla and our copywritten brand of slapstick and hijinks, and they were Charlie far more than busters. They were really investigators.
Lame fucks.
They were like who Batman is supposed to be, but they can for some reason never is.
So
in
they
the
go
movie.
around killing Dracula and shit.
Yeah, he's like, clowns! They choke him to death. So yeah, the series, the live action series starring F Troop, stalwarts, it ran for like a season, and then the licensing agreement, they're like, what do you say, Columbia? Yeah, fine, give us a few $100,000 and like 1% of the profits, and they were like, all right, and then they got paid so much so that like, let's take a look at that contract, and they realized, wait a minute. Nowhere here does it say that, yeah, we gave them the licensing rights to make a live action, but and this is Filmation,
What a bunch of
Charlie.
pieces of
Filmation, who made our favorite? Who you gonna call?
Go.
He-Man. Filmation made He-Man, so they knew what was up in the cartoon game. So they said, "Hey, Columbia, we gave you the rights for live action, but has nothing to do with the
What a
cartoon.
bunch of
So I'll
fucks.
tell you what, we're doing that He-Man shit. Let us make your Ghostbusters cartoon." And they were, Columbia was like, "Nah, we're gonna go with Deke." So Columbia goes that way.
They acted like some deeks. They're like, fucking nut.
And they're like, why don't you eat a Deke?
How's your 1%,
Because we're gonna
you
do something else.
deekhead?
So they go and they say, all right, well then we're still called Ghostbusters, so we're just gonna make our
What a
own.
bunch of spiteful
And they
sissies.
come out 5 days before the actual Ghostbusters we know.
There
cartoon.
was an executive who
Oh,
was like,
man.
all these dumb fucking shit kids, all they care
like,
about
"Yeah,
is
they don't-"
first to market.
Or they're like, "Yeah, transforming robot, just buy them all and we'll make one story out of them." What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The suits are the worst.
They're the fuck
the suits. You stink. Everything that's
Now-
wrong in entertainment is your fault.
Now, if the Space Busters was about a monkey and a transforming Ghostbuster car, I'm fucking in.
Ironically, they did end up making a transforming monkey.
This is my favorite. Optimus Primal.
Oh, boo!
He was.
I hate you again. Thank you for reminding me.
He was named that before he was a Gorilla Man,
Oh man. Oh man.
and he's from the future.
I
but
prefer.
it's also the past.
I prefer Hot Roddiest Prime at this point. But now, Charlie, that is all.
That was palaver. That was preamble.
That's what you get. That was all. And this will be a short. So thankfully, it's a very tall firehouse. Winston Dunn put some extensions on.
He really did.
So I just started shutting up at me like in a restaurant or a bar. Now, that-
Oscar music starts playing.
I just want to thank my mom and my brother Charlie and Jameson, without whom none of this would be possible. God, thank you. That all being said, no spoilers, except to say that they have made a situation where additional Ghostbuster stories can be told. So here's mine, the short version. We have really only had our adventures on the East Coast.
That's true.
We've had this miniature conversation yesterday on the ride home. Next to the most piss smellingest guy that's ever pissed in his life.
My God.
He was 99% piss
And 1%
human.
shit.
It's possible. You were standing closer to him. Not like our buddy in Penn Station who shockingly didn't want my chocolate covered pretzel. He's like, nah.
Not only did he not want your chocolate pretzels, didn't ask us for change.
No,
He just wanted to have a conversation.
He just wants, he's like, look at that girl sitting in the police car. She's a loser. I'm like, all right. But that being said, so the Ghostbuster adventures thus far have really only occurred on the East Coast. But we are left to believe that might not be the case anymore.
We gonna get a helicopter.
Now, in my proposed ongoing Ghostbusterverse sequel, fix it and fit it in there wherever you want. Now there's some spooky stuff happening on the West Coast.
Oh,
right. Now they don't have
Weather's better.
They don't have a Ghostbusters franchise that they can just holler up. So what do I do? What do I do if I got a poltergeisty situation? Church is like, nah, I can do for you. There's no magic ceremonies we can do. So they just call in like private investigators. Cops ain't doing nothing for you. So they bring in a group of private investigators.
Bunch of dicks. Private dicks.
Spencer and Kong's Private Investigations. So these two familiar looking characters, maybe with a Larry Storch-esque tilt to his chapeau, they walk in the door. First one, just like pure, like private eye, private dick, flatfoot type of vibe to them. But in 2024, whatever you can get away with. One comes in the door. Yeah, my partners are right behind me. Don't shut that door. So the person who's having that spookish situation in the house opens the door back up. Here's another. Oh, that's Kong. My man's got a little. Now this is a monkey. So we have reduced Tracy to like spider monkey proportions. Come at you like a spider monkey, sitting on his shoulder.
This is your
She's
dream.
like,
You've had dreams.
Oh yeah, I have. And the illustrations. Oh, hi Kong. He's like, I'm Kong. That's Tracy. Now we've got the full team.
Who's playing
in the house.
Kong? That he has
Maybe-
the bassist voice.
Maybe I
Oh shit!
cast myself.
You want a
Woo!
monkey friend so bad.
Oh, so bad. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So our boys walk in. Now look, granted, at this point in life, anyone who doesn't watch this podcast or listen to this podcast has no idea of these other Ghostbusters. But in this iteration, they're really just private eyes. So we're gonna find out, yeah, half the team, I don't care who it is, half the team was on the force at one point, but
You might have my money just as the
Something-
girl went high Kong.
He's like, nah. So at one point, look, I gotta believe nobody graduates high school like, I'm gonna be a private investigator. Like
Something goes wrong.
something happened.
It's
right?
like doing a podcast in your mom's
You
house.
end up being a private investigator. So they're like, they're good. They're good at what they do. Like a
Well,
Jessica
they have a
Jones.
tiny little monkey friend.
Yeah, and you know what? He can get into some shit. But they can't figure it out. So they're in their investigations. They like, let's go to the interweb. There's some answers there, and they're reminded about all these, and especially most recently, crazy stuff that's happening on the East Coast. Like, but that's like on the East Coast saying, oh, we're having earthquakes. No, it doesn't happen on the East. That's a West Coast problem. But now they've got both.
Yeah.
Like I know this is kind of frowned upon, but maybe this is out. So now while they're doing their investigations, maybe they do run into some spooky stuff themselves. They have no idea what's going on. Only Tracy's like maybe Tracy opens up like the yellow pages for our guy.
The monkey sound effects.
I'm Thor.
The toys.
So
Tracy puppet.
So
Two-pack Tracy puppet slider puppet. Oh, they're best friends.
So ultimately, and we will put together a full, Christian, you're gonna be on this too. We put together a full treatment, but the short version of it is,
Bring them home.
they acknowledge like, hey, yeah, hi Janine, good to meet you. We've got a problem out here.
I love
So
it.
they, in effect, import some Ghostbusters. Now, again, you're not going to get the whole team because otherwise this is now a Ghostbusters movie, which it only kind of is.
Yeah, this is a ghost.
So you get a portion.
Busters movie.
Wait for it. So you're gonna get, several of our familiar faces, and the ones you select are interchangeable. But what's gonna end up happening is this, in effect, super group is gonna be formed in order to contend with whatever spook is of the spook of the day, so to speak, and deals with it. And I think Ray has to be taken off the shelf in order to do to be there. But Ray likes what he sees.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
He's like, oh, Charlie, wear your pants. But ultimately, what you're going to end up with is a Ghostbusters project that marries the two franchises, one of which most people didn't even know existed, but marries the franchises, makes them back into one. And now you have properly a West Coast,
I love it,
property that you can contend with. And Winston obviously signs off on it because he's the money behind the machine. And like I said, the bad guy almost doesn't matter. The black hat can be whatever freaking black hat of the day that you want to use. But that's how I would do it. Because truth be told, just like I forget who said it, maybe Stephen King or someone else that I really admire, that there is no book.
That would be Stephen King or Billy Joel. Those two people you admire.
Or Charlie.
Hey!
That there is no book bad enough that you can't find something good in.
Yeah.
And I've taken that challenge up. I'm like,
and it's the monkey
I guess.
and the name's Kong.
And I read Ready Player 2. I'm like, challenge accepted.
You started this segment so don't yuck anyone's yum, and you had
except for Ready Player 2.
You had a literal yuck.
Yuck. If you like Ready Player 2, you're wrong. But that all being said, I think that it's a great way to marry the two, and also just continuously expanding the Ghostbuster verse.
So here's my only note.
Do it.
And it's more of a question.
Do it.
Is this not the perfect way to do a live action series? Taking these characters, merging the worlds, assuming Dan Aykroyd is all in, does this not free us to lead slowly to, in my head, season 1 ends with a color variant, no ghost going up on the headquarters, and everyone gets their chills, and
you see them uniform up properly.
The box comes even.
Their lockers.
Depending on what you want to do, it really can be even a tag to season 1. Season 1's this whole story. It kind of wraps up with now you're legitimized, and maybe the stinger. And I almost hate this stinger in any non-TV way, but they tear open the box from Zedmore Enterprises, and it's the flight suits, and maybe the video game variant where they have the couple touches of color. I just feel it doesn't have to be a long. It could be 6 episodes.
This is what I want.
I think a new format.
I'm willing to sign off on it. Because
it's my money.
I'm
just gonna steal this idea if you don't like it.
I spend it better.
I spend it better is solid.
The way that Marvel does best with limited series, they're like, here's a limited series, or even HBO, quite frankly, because I don't need the Watchmen series to continue on beyond. Those characters, they can just be out there like Santa Claus doing what they do, and I'm gonna sleep perfectly well. I will give you. Hey, what's going on, Adrian? I will sign off for scripts enough for a limited series
sold
on a Prime streamer, establishing this new arm, right, of the franchise, literally and figuratively, and then we say, okay, this is where you live, right here on the shelf, until such time as the next world event happens for the Ghostbusters in totality. Where you say, we got to call the West Coast guys. Almost like an X-Men situation.
So here's my logic behind it. And to further sell it, because that's perfectly agreeable.
All right.
I think a limited series is better. I also think what this opens up for sequel series, I'm not asking you to have this be an ongoing. We did a limited series. It does open up the world that IDW Comics got to live in for a while, where if there were characters from elsewhere in these universes, if you wanted to bring in Kylie, who's like a wild, she's from Extreme, super fan. I'm not saying specifically, but I'm saying if you wanted to bring in Peter's dad, who is like this scumbag in Real Ghostbusters, I think it just opens up our opportunities. This is not just a way for me to get Kylie and Eduardo in there. Listen, I know you hate paralyzed people, but he's not going to hurt you.
Just not even funny.
What's funny is I always think that character's name is Roland. Roland was the leader.
That would make me sign off on. I will leave that open very much to a possibility, because if we have a character named Podcast, then I guess almost anything is possible.
No, his dad,
workable.
Betamax. What do they
I'll
call
take your money. I'll take your money. I'll take your money. Guys, I'm going to let Charlie wrap this up, because Charlie is undoubtedly the super of super fans that I created. So that kind of makes me Dr. Frankenstein to my Frankenstein monster. But from the doctor himself, just a better combination of parts. There has just simply never been. A couple of new, like a new muffler, a few new bolts in there. Guys, the Ghostbuster franchise is alive and well and in very, very good hands. I thoroughly enjoyed Frozen Empire. I think it is the best version of multiple things. I won't list those things because lists are for suckers. I loved it. I think you will very, very much enjoy it. I have my list, and it is not towards the bottom of that list of Ghostbuster properties. Go see it when it comes out. Yeah, granted, you can't be as cool as us and see it at the world premiere, but when it comes out 22nd, when it comes out on the 22nd, be amongst the first to go see it like a normie. Enjoy it if you can. Dress up. If you can't dress up, definitely have the Marshmallow Man icy, because it is delicious. I loved it. I think you will too.
You know who to call, and it turns out Ghost Corps pays dividends.
He-Man.
Or He-Man. That's a perfectly acceptable. Huge thank you.
When they hit Reitman with the He-Man, no, they hit Gil.
Yeah, they hit Gil.
That is just dynamite. You were saying.
To give that some quick context, the new director of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, in front of
he went for a cheap pop.
Stadium full.
God bless him. He must be a wrestling fan too. He's like, hey, hometown.
Yeah, exactly. It's so great to be here in your town. He hit this audience that waited for a movie that was an hour late. He hit us with who you're gonna call, and the only response was He-Man, and I think he appreciated it
100%.
Especially since his writing partner, his best friend in the world, was the kid that delivered that. I did that. John,
I did that.
It feels so good to have another installment. I'm so excited. I'm going to see this on Thursday, then I'm going to see it on Friday, then I'm going to see it on Saturday, then I'm going to probably see it on Sunday again, because I don't fuck around, much like this show don't fuck around. Thank you so much for joining me at the premiere. Thank you so much to Ghost Corps for inviting us to the premiere. Maybe next time we're press for the premiere, I'll start working with our friends at Ghost Corps for that. So I think USComics may have to take over the red carpet. Yes, have some. They do great. But we have the hard-hitting questions like, you want to be best friends, Dan? There is only one way that we end each and every episode of USComics Cast. I'm going to tell you, John's going to show you, because step one.
Because I also use Palmolive, and my hands are sore.
So I didn't want to say anything. Was that you called Matt? You asked what the... First, you got to turn the power on. Then you got to turn the volume up. Then you got to tune Mary and open up the window wide and scream out to the night sky. Same as Space Girl. We are...